Hello, my most amazing artist. I hope you're having a fabulous day and I hope you're ready because it is Under the Sea week. And we're kicking it off like we normally do on Mondays with a self-portrait, but this one has a twist. We're actually going to do a little bit of snorkeling with bubble prints today. So before we get started, I'll go through that supply list, but first our art class catchphrase. I make messes. I make mistakes. But deep inside, I got what it takes. I am an artist. Big shout out to Ticonderoga and Art to Remember, our sponsors for art class today. Ticonderoga is the maker of my favorite pencils as well as the marker that I'm going to be using today. I'm using a permanent marker. It's called Ready Sharp. It's by Ticonderoga and I absolutely love it. You don't have to draw with a permanent marker. You could use a pencil. Definitely won't want to draw with a water-based marker. I'll be using my Ready Sharp pencil by Ticonderoga. Thank you, Ticonderoga, for sponsoring these art classes with Cassie and as well as providing me with art supplies. Also, thanks to Art to Remember. They make it so we can remember our artwork forever by allowing us to create a free digital online gallery. Not only can we preserve our artwork there, but we can also have it printed on a ton of different things, from t-shirts to coffee cups to so much more. You won't believe the amount of things that you can have your masterpieces printed on. Be sure to check out their website, Art to Remember. All right, let's talk about what we're creating. We'll be making these bubble print selfies of ourselves, that's why it's called a selfie, snorkeling. So here's what you'll need. Paper, a pencil or permanent marker to draw with, crayons, or if you're fancy and you have oil pastels, those would be great too for coloring. For the background, we will be doing bubble prints. For that, you will need a little bowl of water with maybe about an inch of water, no more, some dish soap, and food coloring. Blue food coloring would be perfect. If you don't have food coloring but you do have paint, I'll show you how to make that work too. All right, now we will today be using all of the elements of art. Let's go through them, shall we? Line, shape, color, baby, color, form, value, texture, and space. Pinkies out, people. I pinky promise that I will do my best. I will finish what I start. I will keep a positive attitude. Mwah! All right, guys, let's get started. Let's draw ourselves as a snorkeler. So I'm going to be drawing this self-portrait here and this portrait here. Let me go ahead and move these guys out of the way. You'll need a piece of paper and something to draw with. I'm going to be drawing with a permanent marker. You could draw with whatever you like. Let's begin by finding the middle of our paper. So I'm actually going to start both of these drawings in a really similar way. So I'll be drawing first here and then maybe doing my instant replay over here. So if you want to watch first and then draw with me, that might be helpful. Begin by finding the middle of your paper, and then we're going to go over just a little bit like this, and we're going to start by drawing the pupil. I'm going to draw my pupil about this big. Now, inside of the pupil, I'm going to draw a couple of smaller circles for the highlight. So if you need an instant replay, I found the middle of my paper. I went over just a little bit. I drew a pupil. I added 2 circles on the inside for the highlight. A pupil is black, and if you're using a permanent marker like me, you could go ahead and color that in. All right, now that that's finished, I'm going to add the iris or the colorful part of the eye. It's going to hug that circle. And then I'll draw another circle, but this time you're only going to see part of it. I'm going to start here at the top, go out, around, and come back. There we go. It's kind of like a crescent shape or a backwards letter C. Instant replay, a circle that hugs for the iris. When somebody asks you what color your eyes are, they mean your iris. Start at the top, curve away, and then go to the bottom for a crescent shape. Great. Now we're going to make another eye. This one is going to be spaced apart a little bit. Let me measure how many fingers. I think I'll go with 3 fingers away from this one. 3 fingers away from this one. I'm going to repeat those steps. So I'm going to draw my pupil. I'll try to make it about the same size. Close, it's a little bit higher, that's okay. I'm gonna add a couple of circles in there for that highlight and color, baby, color. All right, now I'll do the same thing here. I was 3 fingers away. Start with the pupil. Add those circles and add the color. The next step was the iris that hugs the eye, so it's pretty close. And then the white part of the eye called the eyeball, starting at the top, moving away, coming to the bottom. Awesome! Okay, my eyes are open really wide because I'm surprised at all the amazing things that I see under C. If you want to, you don't have to. You could add eyelashes. Eyelashes help protect your eyes. They prevent dirt from getting inside. So I'm going to repeat those steps, but maybe on this one I don't want to add eyelashes, and that's okay. Notice when I do the crescent shape, it's going in the opposite direction of the first one. It's kind of a mirror image. Now let's put on our goggles. They're really, really big. They're going to completely go over our eyes and up over our nose. So here's what I'm going to do. Above my eyes, I'm going to draw a nice horizontal line like this. Notice it's not perfectly straight, it curved up just a little bit. There we go. Now I'm going to decide how tall I want my goggles to be. I think I want them to go a little bit past my eye on both sides. I'm gonna curve the line a little bit here before I bring it down. Curve the line a little bit here to go around that eye and then bring it down. All right, instant replay. I'm gonna make that curved, not curvy, kind of a curved horizontal. It's kind of slow, gradual arch. It's going to go around my eye and come down. Around my eye and come down. Great. Now we're going to go under the eye, and then if you can imagine, it's going to come up and down, kind of like a rainbow curve. This is the part that will go over the bridge of our nose. So I'll curve down, under the eye. Notice how I curved up each time. Maybe decide where you want it to go. I think I want it to end up somewhere in the middle of the eye, so I put a little polka dot there. Now, I'm not going to make a diagonal. It's going to be a rainbow. So you might want to practice with your finger a couple of times. It's going to start here, go up, over, and down. You might even want to bend this line a little bit to get it going up, over, and down. There we go. My rainbow's a little crooked. It's okay. All right, I'll repeat those steps here. Curve, curve, put that spot in the middle, curve like a rainbow up, over, and bring it on down. There we go. Now let's decide where we want another line for these goggles to go, because we want to show that there's an inside and an outside to them. So to do that, I'm going to add, I'm thinking which would look better. I'm going to add another line that is very close to my first one. It's just basically following along my first one. You could put it on the outside like I'm doing, or you could draw it on the inside like what I'll do here so you can see some options. If you don't have a lot of room on the inside, you could draw it on the outside like I just did. So hug that line really close, get them close together. And now your goggles are complete. If you want to make them look as though they're a little bit shiny, you could add a couple of lines like this. If you don't want to, I'm not going to do that on this one. You don't have to. All right, now let's work on our nose. You can draw your nose any way you want to. I'm gonna draw my nose in this little space with a tiny little oval. It's a teeny tiny nose. You know, I always like to draw things where they are opposites because it really helps to show that things are kind of cartoony. Okay, now when you're snorkeling, you have a tube in your mouth that you're constantly blowing the air out, right? Especially if you go underwater, you blow the air out. It's not a straw. You don't drink the water in. That would be terrible. So now what we need to do is work on that snorkel. So the first thing I want you to do, it's gonna look a little strange, is we're gonna start with that little tube. I want you right here where your mouth would go. I want you to draw a little frown like this. Don't worry, we won't have a frown for long. I just want you to start with a frown because we're going to begin with the snorkel itself, the big tube, and it curves up just like a letter J. So I'm going to start with this line here. Definitely want to practice a couple of times with your finger. Keep in mind there's about to be 2 lines. So this first one is going to curve away, but then get close to your goggles and go up. Watch me, please. It's going to go up like a letter J. Just imagine you're drawing a very large letter J. It's going to go up, and then that's how tall I want mine to be. Now this one has to copy. It's doing the same thing, so I don't want it to get way out here. The snorkel tube is not all that wide, and it's the same width. So as you're drawing this other J, keep your eye on this first one to keep them the same width apart. Great, the top is easy. Let's draw an oval. So I'm going to start with a straight line here. Curve, curve, connect. Curve, curve, connect. Okay, let's try it over here in case you were just watching. I made a little sad face frown. Why are you so sad, little snorkeler? Now let's make a letter J. Imagine it in your mind. Draw it with your finger. It's coming up. Ooh, a squeaky marker. Did you hear it? Now this one is going to try to keep it about the same width. It's a little bit bigger of a J. That's okay. And then I'll close it at the top. Curve. Curve. It really does look like a letter J, doesn't it? It could be called a jorkel instead of a snorkel. I said instead of. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, now it has a little part. You don't just put this in your mouth. It has a little part that goes over your mouth and it looks like a square. So above this, I'm going to draw a straight line. And then I'll draw the side. It comes down and then bumps into the J. Down and then bumps into the J. Great. Now, if you want to show that it's in your mouth and maybe show that you're blowing the bubbles out, I'm going to draw a happy face line that starts here, jumps over the snorkel, and goes up. Line, jump, up. Now you can see my mouth here, and I'm going to draw a cheek here and a cheek there. Perfect. Now, if I want this one to do the same, I'll draw a straight line above it. It looks like a little mouth. I'll bring this line down. It bumped into it right there. That's fine. It can be a different size. There we go. Now I'll draw a little part of the sides of my mouth and then a couple of chubby cheeks to show that I've got air inside my cheeks. Great. Now let's work on our chinny chin chin. So starting here, I'm going to bring my line. It's going to go down, bump into my snorkel, hop over it, and come back up. My snorkel is overlapping or in front of my face. So to show that in my artwork, I'm going to stop here and jump. But imagine how that line would continue before going up like that. Awesome, we just showed space by overlapping. I'm gonna draw, before I do an instant replay here, a couple of ears. One here. Oh, this one's a little hidden. There we go. If you don't have room, it's okay. Maybe something is overlapping it. Perhaps you're able to show space. All right, I'm gonna start here. Jump. Pop up right over there and add my ears. Curved line there. Curved line there. Great. Okay, now this is one of my favorite parts. We're gonna draw our forehead and then we're gonna draw your hair. Your hair is probably moving and flowing. Think about when you go swimming or you dunk your head into the bathtub, how your hair moves around like a mermaid or a merman. So first let's draw our forehead. I'm gonna start here, going up, over, and down. This would be a good time if you wanna draw your eyebrows. Now, if you have long hair like me, you're going to do the line that I call a dancing zigzag. So starting at my ear, you might even want to draw it with your finger first. Think about if you had a zigzag that went dancing, or imagine what your mermaid hair looks like underwater, and that's what you'll want to draw. If your hair goes back here, remember that your snorkel is overlapping it. It's in front of it. So you'll want to hop over that snorkel as you draw. Don't draw over it. All right, so I'm starting here. If it helps you, you can draw a couple lines that go up like me. And then I'm gonna just imagine that I've got this mermaid hair. Maybe there's some curves to it. It's really sticking up, waving underwater. There we go. I think it's gonna have a little bit more over there. Perfect. I don't know what that is, but it looks pretty good to me. Now, if you have shorter hair, you might not want to draw your hair as tall as me. I'm gonna go ahead and add eyebrows, and maybe if I have shorter hair, it doesn't come up nearly as high. It's kind of like if you drew the zany scientists when we were drawing ourselves kind of like with wild and wacky Albert Einstein kind of hair. It's a little bit like that. Okay, now we need to just add our swimsuit. So from here, I'm going to draw my neck with two lines that come down. You can't see this side of my neck because it's being overlapped, so I'm just gonna bring it down like that. Now my shoulders are going to go away like this, away like that. Same thing here, two lines for the neck. One of them is overlapped, away, and away. Now, if you don't have a lot of room, you could just end your lines here. Or if you want to curve it down for the ends of your shoulders. There we go. Now, for me, I'm gonna add my bathing suit with the letter U. And then the sides like this, curve, curve. And this guy, he's got his swimming trunks on, but you can't see them. There we go. Now, if you want to decorate your suit, you could add stripes, zigzags. Think of your favorite swimsuit. It's up to you. Let's add a couple of fish before we color. Now, we're all gonna have fish in different places. I'm gonna show you how to draw a fish, then you can draw as many or as few as you like. It's easy. Start with a circle, then a little hot spot. Add some color. Now we have an eye. Now we're only gonna see one. I'm gonna make a rainbow that goes above my fish. Give him a mouth with a sideways V, a curve like an opposite rainbow. Isn't that easy? If you know another way to draw fish, I say go for it. I just wanted to show you an easy way that you could add a bunch of fish to kind of fill in any empty spaces you might have. So I just kept drawing as I was jibber jabbering. So maybe you could draw another one over here. Circle. When you're finished, I'm gonna add another circle around this one. There we go. When you're finished, you can then grab your crayons. I recommend you use crayons to color with because crayons have wax in them and they will resist the paint when we get ready to do our bubbles. So grab some crayons and let's add some color, baby, color. Now that I'm all finished coloring, I'm ready to do my bubble printing. I have made a mess, obviously. I've been practicing, so let this be a warning to you. Make sure you put down a piece of paper. If it's a beautiful day, this is the perfect thing to do outside. Make sure that you have something covering your clothes. An apron would be perfect because it splatters a little bit and can be messy. Get a bowl, and all I did was I filled my bowl with about a 1/4 inch of water. So fill it with water, and then you'll need some dish soap. I'm not really measuring much. I'm just kind of squirting in some dish soap into my little bit of water, and now I'm adding food coloring. I don't have a lot of food coloring left, so if you're like me and you run out of food coloring, oh, it's barely there, then you can try using some paint. After you've got your food coloring, let's try soaking some of that food coloring into my bottle, see if that'll help get it out. To do that, I just squeeze my bottle, put it under the water, let it absorb some of the water, and then trying to squeeze it out, clean my bottle out a little bit, see if I can get every last drop of food coloring out of that bottle. Once you've got it, you're also going to need a drinking straw. With your drinking straw, you're going to be blowing out only. It's almost like you're snorkeling, because you're only going to be blowing out. You will not want to suck this in. It's soapy water. It would taste terrible. Now, I don't have a lot of food coloring in mine, so we'll see how well this turns out. If it's too light, I'll try to get more food coloring out of my tube. If it's dark, that'll be perfect. All right, I've got my straw. I'm gonna blow out. Now that my bubbles are nice and tall, I'm going to take my paper and smash them. And I can barely see my bubbles, which means I need to add more color. Since I don't have any more food coloring, I'm going to use some liquid watercolor. I'll add that to this, mix it up, and try it again. If yours is very light like mine, add more food coloring. All right, I've got my straw. I'm gonna give it another shot. Smash the bubbles. Let's see how this one goes. Oh, I can see it a little bit more. What I found that helps is if you do this over and over again, the colors start to overlap and get darker. Oh yeah, now I'm starting to see some of those bubbles. It just needed a little bit more printing. You could also do a couple of different colors, maybe some green food coloring in one, maybe another bowl with some purple, enough to give you some variety of color too. I think I'm going to continue working on this until it's all filled in. Now you can see why it's a good idea to do this outside. Look at my bubbles, they escape it. Ooh, but look at my portrait, it looks amazing. Oh no, if this happens to you where you have bubbles on both sides, you might want to go rinse out that straw or else it's going to taste terrible. It's good to keep an eye on what side you're using for your mouth and what side you're using for the bubbles. All right, guys, I think I'm finished with my portrait. If you had so much fun making your snorkeling selfie with bubbles, hopefully you didn't make as big of a mess as me. Again, outside would be great. Having something to protect your table is even better. Friends, don't forget to give this video a great big old thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more fun projects like this. See you soon.